Welcome to the channel. I'm Elena. Today we're going over Grandpa's frugal living tips from the Great Depression. We're going to see which one of these we are actually doing and if we can learn any new ways to save money. Number one is to cook from scratch. Now we basically do this anyway because if you've been around for a while, you know I have all the allergies. So this is basically a necessity for us, and I do think this does save us money. We could be spending a lot more on food if we were having takeout more often, but there's not really much that I can eat out, so this kind of just has to happen anyway. Number two is eat at home. I'm not sure how this is different than the first one, but I do know that every time we eat out, it's like $80 or $100 for a family of 4, and when we eat at home, it's a lot less than that. Number three is plant a garden. So I have really mixed feelings about this one. I'm not much of a gardener myself, but I feel like gardening takes a lot of time. And unless you love it and you're growing a lot of things, I can see this not being cost effective or worth the time that you're putting in. And I know some people really are into being less dependent on the grocery stores and stuff, but I'm not sure if the cost actually works out. 4, grow your own fruit. Now I believe this one. So fruit trees are not that much work, and then you can get so much fruit, and fruit is so expensive. When anyone has extra fruit, I'm always trying to get some, or you can dehydrate it or freeze it for the winter. But fruit can be so pricey during the winter that whatever you can do to get inexpensive fruit during the summer, this can save a lot of money. Number 5 is forage. We did this more as teenagers. We would go and find all the blackberry bushes and pick a bunch of blackberries. The blackberries were so delicious, even though the blackberry bushes themselves were not exactly friendly. I do think this is kind of on the same lines as growing that garden. Like, is this cost effective? Yes, you can get fresher things, you can get more unusual things, but there's time involved and perhaps traveling if it's not on your own property that may not make this one worth it. Number 6 is to eat less meat. I believe this totally works to save money, but we also have to think about health and what that balanced diet looks like for us. For me, in the meat department, when I'm trying to save money, I'm looking for less expensive cuts, or how can I buy in bulk and cut it up and freeze it or something like that, because we need to make sure we have good nutrition in our diet so we have that energy to earn that money and take good care of our kids. But even having a couple nights a week where you're having breakfast for dinner, like waffles or something, that can save you a lot of money because you're not eating meat for that meal. Number 7, make your own specialty coffee. I think this one can save people so much money because if you are going out and buying that coffee every day, that gets pricey. So even if you have to buy a special espresso machine and experiment with the syrups and the additives and whatever goes in that magical pumpkin spice latte, it could be totally worth it in the long run if you know you love that particular drink, but you can figure out how to make it for a fraction of the cost. Now, I'm not much of a coffee drinker, so I'm not sure how well this applies to tea. Number 8 is to pack your own lunch, and this can save so much money. So I work from home, so the fridge is my packed lunch, and my husband packs his lunch, and that $10, $15 every single day can really add up and really cut into your budget. So I'm a firm believer in this. We try to make enough the night before so that we can all just eat leftovers the next day. Except for the kids, they mostly eat like corn dogs or nuggets for lunch. Number 9 is to buy your food in bulk, and this can save a lot of money, but you have to watch those price tags and not just be fooled by the fact that you bought something in a large quantity, because Costco does this. Sometimes it is a good deal and sometimes not so much. The other thing that sometimes happens to us with this is if you buy a bunch of something, you go through it faster and you use more than you would have if you knew you only had a little bit, and that can make it not as cost effective. Number 10 is to cook with simple ingredients. Every time I want something in particular that has special ingredients, it always costs so much. So one of my pregnancy cravings has been baba ganoush, and it has tahini in it. So then, the little teeny jar of tahini is like $14. And so every time you're making something particular with special ingredients and you're buying special things for that, it really adds up. So whatever we can do to stick to the basics, get some basic seasonings that we can mix and match in different ways, that can save us a lot of money. 11 is learn how to make birthday cakes. Does that include buying the box at Fred Meyer and then adding the egg and the milk? Of course, that bakery cake is going to cost so much more than just making yourself, even if you are using a box. The other thing is that the kids love to, join in the chaos of making the cake, and that's kind of part of the birthday experience for us. So yeah, we totally do this one. 12, learn the power of cleaning with vinegar. I do make my own cleaning solution, and mostly because I don't like how much commercial cleaners cost and the million things that are in them, and I find them less efficient at their job anyway. So I make something with some mouthwash, some vinegar, and some dish soap. Super simple, not very many ingredients, and it gets the job done. And it also means I'm not spending that $7 on that small bottle of all-purpose cleaner. Number 13 is save plastic containers. I think this works really well when you eat yogurt. Like we did that as a kid a lot, and we saved all those containers, and so we put our leftovers in that and stuff, but we don't really buy yogurt, so none of our foods really come in containers like that, so that doesn't really work. We're also trying to get away from plastic a little bit, which means we're trying to do only glass leftover containers, so this doesn't really work for us. Number 14 is to wear an apron. I think this is about keeping your clothes from getting ruined so that you don't have to replace them, which would make them last longer. 15 is to buy used. I'm always on the lookout for a great deal or, looking at Goodwill for something. I've gotten away from this a little bit more because I also want to value my time, and also sometimes used things don't hold up as well over time, like clothing, and then you're just gonna have to buy something again, and then that can actually be more expensive. So I'm kind of weighing the rewards with that one, thinking like, okay, is this something that would be fine to buy used, or is this something that would just last longer and be cheaper in the long run if I bought a new one? 16, hand-me-downs are a must. If you have kids, they are always growing out of their clothes or wearing them out, especially if they're little boys. I take all the hand-me-downs that anyone will give me, especially since now we're having a little girl. We don't have any clothes for the girl. So because a whole girl wardrobe, that adds up when you buy new. 17, cloth diaper your babies. Speaking of babies, so I cloth diapered my first 2 babies, and we saved a lot of money doing that. I have a whole video about my whole system and the simple way that I did it, and it can really save you a lot of money, but it also takes some time, so that's something to consider when you're thinking about that. 18, learn how to do simple home repairs. Well, if you've seen our house, you know that we do all the home repairs, simple or not. Maybe we do too many home repairs ourselves. This does cut the cost of home repairs in like half, so it does seem worth it for us. And it also means that you can buy a fixer-upper at a price that works for you, and then fix it up, and then have a nice house, but not have that nice house price tag. 19, line dry bath towels. Bath towels do take a long time to dry in the dryer. I'm not set up for line drying at this point, and I'm sure it would save a little bit of money. We also live in a really windy town, so that means there's lots of dust coming through, which would just get all over our clothes too. Then maybe we'd have to wash them again and then dry them. That would not be worth it. 20, layer in the winter. So this is you're grabbing the sweater before you're turning up the heat. So we definitely try to do this. We need some sort of happy medium with this, especially with little kids, because my number one priority is that they will sleep, which means their bedroom is a nice toasty 70, 72. Because I value my sleep more than my energy bill. 21, get rid of cable. This is not so much a thing anymore. Do you guys have cable? I'm not sure I actually know people that have cable. You could probably equate this to like having a bunch of subscription services where you watch movies and stuff. So we try to just have one subscription service at a time so that we kind of rotate through things that we're watching and we get to watch new things, but we're not paying, $15 here, $15 here, $15 for that thing too, all at the same time. 22, get a library card. Now I know this is true, and the library has so many resources and audiobooks and movies to rent and all the things. For me, at this stage of my life, I am feeling overwhelmed with things to do and busyness that I'm not necessarily taking that time out to save that money by going to the library and getting all the books there and stuff like that. Number 23 is make gifts instead of buying. There are so many cool ideas on Pinterest or ways that you can use stuff that you got at the Dollar Tree to make something unique and personal. So this can be a huge money saver. 24 is to make more memories. Often some of the things that we remember the most with our kids or our family are not things that we spent a bunch of money on, but where we engaged with our time. We played a board game, we went for that walk, we visited that park, we went to that new playground, we went to that river, stuff like that. But that doesn't necessarily have to cost a bunch of money to have that experience. And trying to get creative about that instead of how can we go to, the museum or the amusement park or something, that can save us so much money. And number 25 is to be content with what you have. This can be a game changer for how you spend money. If I'm always thinking about the next thing that I could buy, it's easy for me to overspend. So whatever I can do to enjoy the things that I already have with the people that I have can help me in my financial goals. Which one of these frugal living tips would not work for you? Let us know in the comments, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.